my headless torso floating around the screen. Ooh, we're past Halloween though. Can you tell I've not had enough sleep? Hello, welcome to the Yarn and Yarns YouTube channel. My name is Angela and all the places you can find me should be linked in the description box just below this video. And here on the channel you'll find me chatting about my adventures in knitting and spinning and crochet. Thank you so much for joining me this week. It is a real pleasure to have your company as I sit and chat here today. It's Monday for me as I am recording. And yeah, I'm looking forward to sharing what I've been up to this week. Before I crack on, I just want to say a very big welcome to anyone who is new to the channel. We've had a few new subscribers. It's always really nice to have your company. And if you'd like to introduce yourself or have a little chat, then please do leave a comment just below this video. I love to find out who's watching and what projects you're working on. Yeah, I always try to answer the comments if I can. And of course, if you've been here many times before, then you know you're welcome. So I have some knitting, some spinning and some crochet today. Also have a little bit of admin, but I left that to the end last week and I quite liked how that worked. So I think I'll do the same this week. Before I do dive in, I just want to say it's been a strange week here at Casa del Rainbow Ange. And sleep has been a rare commodity this weekend, so everything's okay, no need to worry, but trying to engage my words and my brain is proving to be quite difficult this morning. So if there's a few more pauses and ums and stumbling over words, that's the reason, but I shall do my very best. I think I will start with spinning this week. So on my wheel this week, it will be no surprise if you have joined me before. I have been working on the third of 4 50-gram lumps, bumps. That's not very attractive, is it? Bundles of fluff. So this is the third little skein that I've spun from some fondant fibre minis that I purchased on a Ravelry D-stash. And just in case you think I might be showing you the same bundle every week, here is proof that I do actually have 3 of these bad boys. I've got one more on the go. I'm spinning these on my wheel. My wheel is a Haldane Shetland. It's a vintage wheel, no longer in production. She's lovely, but she can be a bit temperamental. And we have a love-hate relationship sometimes. And I've been spinning through this fibre with the idea of popping some of these in some gift packages that I should be sending throughout November and December. I'm on my final batch of this yarn, and I've got 2 lots of the singles spun up. I've just got one more left to do. I'd hoped to get it finished last week, but I got distracted by my spindle spinning project instead. So the wheel spinning went by the wayside a little bit, but I think another couple of days and that will be finished and I can move on to something new, which I'm really looking forward to. This yarn is beautiful. I love all of the muted colours. It's very wintry to me. The beiges, the whites, the blues, and there's some stellina in there as well. There's some flashes of mauve which probably aren't showing up very well on the camera, but yeah, it's really lovely colours. It's been a bit of a pig to spin if I'm being honest. I think that's just the different fibres that were in there. Wanted to sort of spin slightly differently, and so trying to get the yarn to be consistent was fairly difficult. I think we've come to a happy compromise now, and I'm well underway with the last lot that's on the wheel. So yes, with any luck, I will be quickly flashing this at you next week, and this will be the last you see of it. Spinning wise, the project that has really captured my attention this week was the rainbow rolags that I think I probably showed off last week, and if I didn't show them last week, then you can pop back to my Vlogtober Day 30 video. I did a little sort of demo on how I drop spindle, and this was a project that I started during that video, and I finished spinning the rolags and plying them. So I spun them all on my drop spindle, or one of my drop spindles, and then I plied them on my wheel. And the reason I decided to ply them on my wheel rather than on the spindle is because I wanted to try and make it one continuous hank of yarn, and I knew that with the quantity of fibre that I had, it wouldn't fit easily on my spindle, and I probably needed to break the yarn and make 2 little bumps of yarn instead of 1. So I decided to chuck it on my wheel, and then I could spin it through onto one bobbin, and even then get towards the end was a little bit of struggle to fit it on. And my bobbins are quite small, and as they get full up, my wheel struggles with the uptake, and there's very little in terms of adjustments that I can make with the settings on my wheel. Anyway, enough waffling. This is the yarn, and I am so in love with it, I can't tell you. So these beautiful rolags were given to me by my lovely friend Jeanette, who actually blended them up herself, and they were all sorts of beautiful, beautiful bright rainbow colours. And I made a 2-ply because I wanted the yarn to go as far as possible. I love this hank of yarn so much. I've got so many ideas as to what I would love to do with it. First off, I thought I'd make a hat, but then I've recently knit myself a hand-spun hat, so I'm kind of slightly on the fence about that idea. And then I thought maybe I could pair it with a solid colour and make a really nice squishy stripy cowl, so some rainbow stripes, and then maybe a dark grey, or you know, some sort of neutral colour to go in between those. So that's a possibility. But I'm also thinking, wouldn't it make an amazing yoke on a jumper? I'm not sure if I'd have quite enough, so I'd have to do some planning. But yeah, as you can tell, this skein of yarn has got me so inspired. I've got so many thoughts as to the possibilities. There's tons of barber poling, all the colours are mixing together as I've spun and plied it. So there's barber poling in some of the single strands, and then obviously that effect gets even more pronounced as I sort of plied the 2 strands together. So yeah, I love this yarn. I've only just taken it off of the drying rack, so I'm not entirely sure meterage wise what I've got. I think it's probably a Sport to DK that it's puffed up a little bit after soaking, so it's probably 4-ply fingering weight in some places, up to DK in others. But yes, this is going to ruminate in my stash for a little while until I can come up with the perfect project. But I'm itching to use it because it's gorgeous. Next up, I have a little bit of crochet, and I've been working on my cushion that I started to show off last week. The project's living in this project bag, which I made a little while ago. It's a lovely sort of tweedy wool fabric at the top, and then a plain cotton. It looks like linen, but it's actually cotton on the bottom. And last week I think I showed off this square that I'd made. I think it was this one. Yeah, pretty sure. So the pattern is just called the Cushion Cal, C-A-L. It's by Anna Nikki Pirowitz, and it's a free download over on Ravelry at the moment. And there's 3 parts to the crochet along. She's already released part 3. And and then the fourth part I believe will just be the joining instructions and the putting things together. So I'm way behind because this is only part one, but this was a square that I had last week, and I'm happy to say that I've finished the other two squares in that same vein. As you can see, I've got all the ends to weave in. So this is square 2 with the tawny as the background colour, so that's what they look like together, and then square 3 has the avocado as the background. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased with how those have come along, and yeah, I seem to have a bit of a colour theme going on, don't I, today. This is the violet cap, which is a pattern from Making magazine. I can't remember the designer, and the yarn was a Quince and Company 10 maybe. It's the one with the silk content. I wonder if I've got the magazine to hand to no, sorry. I'll link my project down below. So yes, seem to have a bit of a purpley theme going on. I've got purple on underneath my jumper as well. So I love this hat. Complete tangent. I think I'm going to make some more, but there might be more on that later. Back to crochet. I told you, brain, words, they just don't want to engage with each other today. So yes, 3 squares done for part 1 of the cushion cowl, and I've started the first of part 2. Again, I've got to make 3 more squares for part 2, and part 2 starts as a circle with lots of popcorn stitches, and then after one, I've got 1 more plain round and 1 more round of popcorns to go, and then it gets squared out. So yeah, that's underway, which is great. I just grabbed my bright orange sheepy marker that was a gift from Caroline of Colourful Creativity, so as to not lose the end of my round there. It just so happened that that stitch marker was hanging out near me when I needed one. So yes, first square of part 2 underway, and I'm using Rowan felted tweed in the avocado is the green, turquoise is the blue, and tawny is the purple colourway. Finally, on to knitting. I have a finished object and a couple of works in progress to show you, and 1 upcoming cast on. So the eagle-eyed may have already spotted I'm wearing my finished object. I'm wearing my Mount Pleasant, which obviously you can't really see, and it would be really awkward for me to try and get up and show you. I'm sat down on the floor in the corner with my tripod set up in front of me. So as I did last week, I'll pop in a little bit of footage of me wearing my Mount Pleasant. Is my finished Mount Pleasant. I'm so pleased with it. I can't tell you. As you can see, the lace blocked out beautifully. That lovely lace section at the bottom has turned out really nicely, I think. So let's just move my hair out of the way if I can. Move it to the back. So I'm hanging around the house today, so I'm just wearing a t-shirt and some leggings. It's probably not the most flattering look, but this is keeping me nice and cozy and warm. So if I turn around, it blocked out a smidge longer than it was last week, but actually when I looked back on the video last week, I wasn't too unhappy with the length. I think the time that I tried it on before I came onto the camera, I was wearing a t-shirt that was quite oversized underneath, and I think the fact there was quite a lot of fabric sort of under the arms once I put this over the top that was sort of bunching it up, so it made it look shorter than it actually was. But yes, I'm really pleased. It did block out maybe half an inch or so longer than it was showing last week anyway. The lace is stretched out, and obviously with the superwash yarn it tends to stretch a bit anyway. As you can see when I hold out my arms, there's a really nice amount of positive ease, which is as designed in the pattern. I knit this entirely as instructed in the pattern in the end, so I didn't add any extra length to it at all. I did 9 inches up until the split for the sleeve, and then just followed the pattern. And yeah, I think it's going to look really nice as I've got it now, over either a long sleeve, although obviously this is 3/4 sleeve t-shirt, and my jeans. I often layer pieces like that, but also I think it will look equally nice. I've got a couple of sort of tunic type dresses. I think it will look really nice over the top of those as well. This beautiful colour, dyed by Ellie of Curio Yarns, has knit up beautifully. I alternated skeins throughout. Because I thought I was using 3 skeins, I actually divided my balls into 50-gram skeins and kind of did a combination of, I didn't hold 3 together because I was travelling when I first started the project, but I alternated 2 until 1 ran out, and then I swapped in a 3rd colour, blah blah blah, and I didn't alternate in the lace sections. But there's no real kind of like issues with sort of dye differences, I don't think. So yeah, it's just turned out beautifully. I think if I'm coming in closer, you can see that gorgeous lace work and how that's stretched out. I can totally recommend this pattern, although I'd say for the larger sizes, the meterage in terms of yarn requirements is probably a bit of an overestimation. So even for the largest sizes, you probably would get away with 2 skeins unless you were going to lengthen it significantly. It blocked out perfectly. I really love how it's turned out. The yarn is by Ellie of Curio Yarns, in her Druid colourway on her sock base. This is the yarn balled up. So there's gorgeous browns and sort of almost like kind of mustardy tones in places, through to really deep, almost black kind of tones, and I really love how it's knit up. I've got tons of this yarn left. I knit the second to largest size, which may have been a 54-inch chest. Again, all of the details on the project will be linked below. And I think the pattern called for 3, it was definitely over 2 skeins of yarn. I purchased 3, and I actually have 130 grams left in my bag, so I only would have needed 2. If only I'd have known. I'm not super cross because this yarn is beautiful, and I am contemplating making myself a violet cap in this colourway. Maybe it would be a bit too matchy, but I think it would be really nice to have a hat to match this crop top. The Mount Pleasant is a pattern by Megan Nodecker, who is Pip and Pin over on Ravelry, and myself and Ellie are hosting a knit along for the Mount Pleasant, and I'll talk more about that at the end of the video. I've got 2 works in progress to show you. The first is my damson gin socks, which haven't had an airing on the videos for quite some time. The damson gin were one of my October goals and they just didn't really get much love, so I've moved it over to one of my November goals, and I'm hoping to get these finished this month. So the last time I showed these on the videos, I had finished this sock, but I had a problem. So it's got a really cute sort of picot cuff, and I'd sewn that down. You basically do a double sort of cuff and fold it over, but then I couldn't get it on my foot. There wasn't enough stretch, and I'd contemplated ripping it out and just doing a rib. I undid the stitching that I'd used to catch the inside of the sock down, and as you can see, I've done it like really much less frequently. I've made it really loose and stretchy, and that seems to have done the trick, which I'm really pleased about, because I really like, one of the details I loved about this was the cute little picot cuff. So I'm pleased I've been able to rescue it and make these a wearable sock. I'm using a Wendy sock yarn for this. I don't think I've got the tag. It's Wendy Rome, but again, my project will be linked below. That will also take you to the pattern designer, whose name I've also forgotten. I'm so sorry. This is a bit of a disastrous episode, but go with it. Let's just carry on. Keep smiling, carry on. So this pattern is part of a pattern collection inspired by the Miss Marple Agatha Christie books, and this one is called Damson Gin, and it's got these really sweet little bobbles, which I guess are the damsons. And so I finished the first sock and I have started on the second sock. These are toe up construction, which is not always my favourite, but these could easily be converted to cuff down, no problem. So yeah, second sock is well underway. I think I've got maybe 3 more pattern repeats until I put in my heel. I think the original pattern may have had a different heel. I've put in just my standard fish lips kiss, and then I did a really short leg on these because I was a little bit worried about the fit for those. I did about 10 rows less on my leg than I usually do, so they're quite short. But yeah, so making good progress. as you can see, I'm nearly at the point, if I flip those over, where I'm going to pop in the heel turn. I'm keeping these in a really cute tiny little project bag that I purchased from the Curious Needle on Etsy. It's this TARDIS bag, and I've got a lovely pin from Mars on this bag, Socks on Board. Mars is Hey Brown Berry everywhere. I'm not sure if she has any of these pins left in her Etsy shop. She may not, so I think she was discontinuing them, but you should hop on over and check out her Etsy shop, see if she's got anything listed, because all of her products are lovely. And I'm keeping on this sock my Moosey Progress Keeper. This was a gift from my lovely friend Erin, and Erin was the one that inspired me to buy and cast on this pattern, because she is a massive Agatha Christie fan, and she sent me this lovely Moose Progress Keeper ages and ages ago, and he's always on one of my projects. Unfortunately the original clasp broke, but I've just put him on one of these bulb pins and he hangs out nicely, and he's always on one of my projects. So that's it, Damson Gin socks. Hoping to get those off the needles. I cast those on back in March, April time, I'm sure. So they have been on the needles way longer than they should have been. And the final work in progress that I wanted to show you this week is another sweater. This is my Midsummer Meadow sweater, which is an all-over colourwork top, short-sleeved. And here it is. So again, it's probably been a little while since I've shown this on the videos. The last time I showed you, I was here where the marker is. So since I last showed this to you, I've obviously knit right down here, and as you can see at the moment it's just hanging out on some cords, because this morning before I recorded I slipped this onto some extra cords so I can try it on. I am basically at the point in the pattern where the pattern recommends you start the ribbing, so I wanted to try it on. Haven't yet tried it on, so I thought I'd try it on in front of the camera for the first time. You seem to enjoy me trying on my Mount Pleasant last week, so I thought we'll do that again. Milk that little segment a little bit more. I am not sure if I'm going to add any extra pattern repeats to this, so if I show you the picture on the model, this is a pattern from a magazine, the Knitter magazine, and this is the gorgeous model wearing her version. So I'm at this point. I was a bit concerned that obviously this nice slender model doesn't really have much in the way of a boob shelf. I'm just going to call it that, whereas my boob shelf is fairly ample. So I was thinking, you know, because she doesn't have a curve to go over, then this might end up being a little bit shorter on me. But then when I thought about it a little bit more, actually the pattern repeats for the largest size, which is the one that I am knitting, actually have some extra rows built in. So I'm hopeful that we might be at the point where I can put the ribbing in, and the ribbing section is quite long. So it's going to add a fair bit extra, at least 1.5 to 2 inches I'd say from that picture. So yeah, let's try it on, give it a go. Okay, so I've got my Midsummer Meadow and I'm about to try this on for the first time. I tried it on once after I split for the sleeves just to make sure that it was fitting. So this is quite a nerve-wracking moment for me, because I have no idea how this is going to fit and whether I'm going to need to put in extra colourwork panels to lengthen the body. So here goes nothing. Ta-da! Oh wow, I'm really happy with that. That looks great, doesn't it? Even if I do say so myself. And it's actually, I'm standing up on tiptoes now, it's actually a really nice length already. So I was aiming for it to be about the same length as the Rowan Valley tweed orange jumper that I wear all the time, and I tried that on over this top, and that comes down to just above where my t-shirt is. And I think by the time I get the ribbing, there's about 20 or so rows of ribbing. Sorry, I'm trying to balance on my tiptoes. I should move the camera down a bit maybe, rather than do that. Genius. So yeah, I think by the time I get, so the ribbing panel is about the same width as that colourwork panel. So I reckon by the time I've got that on there, it's going to be the perfect length The only thing that might be an issue is this neckline, but I need to figure that out at some point in the future. So yeah, I think it's looking pretty good. What do you guys think? My headless torso floating around the screen. Ooh, we're past Halloween though. Can you tell I've not had enough sleep? Oh, that's really exciting. This sweater is also on my November goals, and yeah, I can just add the rib now. The one thing that I may need to go back and do is change the neckline. I'm not super happy. It's just an I-cord cast off. Again, the I-cord cast off is the same on the little sleeves, and it doesn't bother me there, but around the neck I'm not 100% sure. So there's a couple of things that I could do. It's kind of rolling in quite a lot. So I've got a couple of thoughts. So the first thought, so if I just let it roll in naturally, this has been blocked as well. It's kind of rolling over to the point where you can see that first row of colour work, and that's with me adding extra rows as well. So my first thought is maybe I could sort of tack down this I-cord to stabilise it a little bit, and then maybe even go behind and put in a crochet chain just to give it a little bit more of a sturdy finish. Or my other option is just to completely rip out that neckline and put in a bit of rib. My one concern about that is how flat the rib will sit against my sort of collarbone, or whether it's going to sort of stick up. So yeah, a few things for me to think about. I might give it another block again and see if I can block the neckline into submission, and then maybe wear it a couple of times before I make my final decision. But yeah, so close to being finished. There's tons of ends to weave in, but to be honest, this yarn really wants to stick to itself, and these ends that have been like hanging out together, just waiting for me to do something with, they've all sort of knotted and twisted together. So to be honest, I think I'm just going to trim the ends slightly, and I probably won't even bother weaving them in. The yarns I'm using, the yellow is Rowan Valley Tweed in the yellow hammer colourway, and the blue and the brownie colour are Pip Baramu Pip colourwork. The brown is called Parkin, and the blue might be Lotherton. Yes, Lotherton. Lotherton. Just found a tag. I'm knitting that, so the largest size in the pattern, if I remember rightly, was slightly too small for what I usually knit for myself. No, it's dead on. So the largest size in the pattern is for a 48 to 50 inch chest, finished size 51 1/4, knit on a 2.75mm needle. So I went up to a 3mm needle, because that 52 is the usual size that I knit for myself, and I was worried that it might be a bit too tight, and this has a nice little bit of positive ease. So yes, I've knit up to I don't know why I'm waving this needle packet at you. That does not mean anything, does it? I knit on a 3mm needle, and that's given me lots of extra room, which I'm really happy with. And as I'm waving the packet around, I use these likey driftwood needles. So that's it for works in progress this week. I have a new cast on to chat about though. I'm super excited that tomorrow I'm going to be hopping on a train and going to London for a couple of days. If you have been following along, you know my partner James has been working away in London through the week, and this may be his last week, although that is now up in the air and in question. But anyway, that's by the by. My lovely friend Sylvia, who is Rose Garden Cottage over on Instagram, this week sent me the cutest, most gorgeous project bag. Perfect for my trip to London. Look at these big red London buses. Oh, it's just so gorgeous. I was so completely blown away. Thank you so much, Sylvia. She also sent me a couple of amazing pins as well, which are over on the desk. Actually, let me go grab one because one's just hilarious. So she sent me this lovely British Red Cross pin, which is a lovely rose, and then the one that just cracked me up completely. If you watch my Vlogtober videos, you might remember at the very start of Vlogtober I was slightly obsessed with chatting about Harry Potter, even though I'm not a Harry Potter fan, and she sent me this pin which says Muggle Worthy on it, which is just brilliant. So I'm going to add that to my project bag. Actually, I shall do that now while we're chatting so I don't forget. it just really made me smile when I opened that package. So thank you so very much, Sylvia. You're so super kind. So that's on my bag now. And in my stash, I had the perfect skein for a London cast on. So this is from a company called Unbelievable. And I picked this up at the, what was it called? It was a yarn show in Bristol that happened like once or twice. I can't even remember the name of it now. And then seemed to disappear, never happened again. And the colourway is called Going Underground. And it says it's a one-of-a-kind colourway on merino nylon sock. And this shows how long ago it was that I purchased this, because this skein only cost me £12. It was a good 4, 5, maybe even 6 years ago. So £12 for a skein of hand-dyed yarn. Wowzers. If only we lived in that economy again. And so I've balled up the yarn, and here it is. So all of the colours of the London Underground sort of tube map have gone into inspiring this yarn. So I'm excited to cast that on. I think I'm going to pair it with one of the minis that I still have left from Caroline's darker Rainbows But Darker mini set. I used those in my autumnal sock blank. I've still got quite a bit of the colours that I used in the sock blank left over. So at some point I'll probably make a pair of sort of shorty striped socks from these colours, but I thought I might pop a couple of these ones that I've got left over into these socks, because I think that will look really cute. So I might actually cast these on today, get going on the ribbon, but these will be my travel project for taking around London with me. So I'm super excited to start working on that. And yeah, I think the gorgeous little project bag and that skein of yarn are a match made in heaven with my brilliant Muggle worthy badge on. Okay, so that's everything that I wanted to chat to you about this week in terms of what I've been working on, and obviously a cheeky new cast on coming up as well. It's actually been a little while since I've cast anything on. I've been really good in terms of trying to get stuff finished, and anything that I have cast on recently has also been cast off. So I was looking back on Ravelry. The newest cast on that I've still got left in my Ravelry projects page is from the beginning of September, and that's James's Dude sweater. Aside from the crochet cushion cowl, that's the only one from recent weeks other than that. So September, October, and the start of November, so it's 2 months. Yeah, that's really good going for me, because you know how much I love casting things on. Before I sign off for this week, I shall chat a little bit about stuff that we've got going on. So of course you can hop over and join our Ravelry group, which is Yarn and Yarns over on Ravelry. There's a link down below. And we've got 2 cows going on. We've got the Mount Pleasant cow, which is the cowl that I'm running in conjunction with Ellie from Curio Yarns, and you can knit a Mount Pleasant t-shirt or any other fingering weight t-shirt, short sleeve, sweater type affair, and that's coming to an end on the 1st of December, so there's still a couple of weeks left. My Mount Pleasant, although I cast it on a little while ago, in terms of actual hours spent knitting, was not very many, and I'm knitting one of the bigger sizes, so you've still got plenty of time to hop in and join that cowl if you want to. And the second cowl that I'm running is the Works in Progress cowl. So anything that you started before the 1st of September, we're having a bit of a push to try and get all of our works in progress finished by the end of the year, or at least some of them. Mine won't all be done. So if you've got anything that you cast on before the 1st of September that you finished before the end of the year, then please pop on over and join in that cowl. We've got, or I should say Mal, really, make along. We've got a chatter thread and a finished objects thread for that one. And yeah, I'd love to see you over there. I also want to say a big thank you to anyone who has been able to donate on Ko-fi. I've got a page linked just below this video, and since I last recorded last week, I've received £9 worth of donations, and that just helps me fund stuff for the podcast. So I'm really grateful for people that have been able to donate to that Ko-fi page. I'm contemplating setting a new goal. At the moment there's no goals over on that Ko-fi page, and I'm just kind of putting the money to one side, and it's going to help me with podcast prizes and postage, but I'm thinking that a lot of you have said that you really like my out and about segments, and a lot of you know that I rely on public transport. I don't have a car, but I was wondering if maybe you guys would like to kind of sponsor a few trips, if that makes sense. So I was thinking it costs about £25 to get the train from here to Bath, and it's not too far a distance, about an hour away on the train. So I thought maybe we could go to Bath for the day. There's a couple of really nice yarn shops that we could visit. There's a Yarn Story and there's Wool, and obviously there's loads of amazing architecture with the Roman baths, the Royal Crescent, the circus. So I was wondering if maybe you guys would like to support stuff like that. We could also get to Bristol. I could potentially hire a car and we could go to places that aren't sort of easily accessible for me on the train. Anyway, let me know what you think. It's just a thought, something fun that I can do with the money that you guys have been donating to help support the podcast and the content that I'm able to put up here. Oh, yet again, I wanted to chat to you about the prize for the 100th podcast giveaway. But I think I'm running out of time. I might put up a separate vlog. As I say, I try to keep these videos around 30-ish minutes just for ease of upload and editing time. But I really want to chat to you about this because I've had some wonderful donations from amazing makers, including Emma of Eldenwood Craft, who has donated this absolutely stunning project bag. So yes, I'm going to skip over it again for one more week. We've still got a few episodes before the 100th episode comes up. If I don't get a chance to chat to you about this next week, then I'll do a separate video to chat about the things that are in this bag. There is a chance that I might get around to talking to you about this next week because obviously being away, I'm not going to be working on as much in terms of variety of projects as I usually do each week. So yeah, I might have a little bit of extra time to chat next week. I'm hoping to do a vlog from London. I don't know whether it'll be one or two, and it probably won't actually go up until I get home from London because Wi-Fi and getting stuff uploaded, it'll probably be easier to wait till I get home. But I'm planning on taking some video of the places that I go so that I can take you on that journey. Yeah, I think that's it. I'm just waffling now, aren't I? It's gonna be one of those days. Not planning on leaving the house if I can help it, so I should be safe. Not safe to be out in public today. Anyway, that's it from me for this week. I'm sorry for the completely off the wall, have no idea what I'm chatting about video. Hopefully I can cobble something together that kind of makes sense to you all. I'm sure it'll make sense in my head, if not to you guys. Anyway, until next time, I hope you get to do some of the things that you enjoy. Great big woolly hugs to you all. Bye for now.